Hey, what's up, y'all? K.Short here, and welcome to, I would say, probably our first episode of No Shortcuts. And today I wanted to talk to you all about a masterclass that I had the chance to go to this past weekend, aka I just got back a couple hours ago. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared this information with all of you before all of it just goes away and isn't really being used to the fullest capacity that it can be. But I am using this opportunity to really solidify and cement a lot of the information that I learned here, and also to pass this on to you because if there's anything that I've learned about myself recently is that I'm someone that really loves to go out to the specialized fields and learn about what other people are doing over there. As someone who is a specialized generalist. I guess the best way you can think of me as someone who's in a tribe, and I would go see what other tribes are doing, specifically tribes that are specialized, right? So you imagine there's people out there that really love math, or there's people out there that really love architecture, there's people out there that really love science, there's people out there that really love art, there's people out there, right? There's all these kinds of people. But I was always that kid that was playing with everybody. And I always didn't have a particular group because I was like, I'm a part of the greater collective. And so I've noticed that I love learning. I love going out to as far out as I possibly can, and then coming back and bringing that information back for the tribe that I'm a part of. And so this is one of those moments where I've done that. And so I want to bring it back to you because it's something that's so potent. I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of sharing it with all of you sooner than later. So this topic is going to be revolved around money. So for those of you who will be alive during this lifetime, who knows where it's going to be, but whoever's going to be alive during this lifetime, money is always going to be a part of our daily lives. Unfortunately, it's not a part of our daily conversations, but it's a part of our daily lives. And so I wanted to go learn this information because if there's anything that I've learned about my money stories, about what I've learned from my families, is that at the end of the day, my mom was really, is at the end of the day that I feel like this generation is the generation that I got to be a part of, where I get to change the trajectory of how my family has always lived. And I was about to go talk about my mom, and I wanted to start off by asking ourselves, like, what is our money story? And what did our parents teach us? What did our families teach us or did not teach us? And if they didn't teach us verbally, what did they teach us non-verbally? What did they teach us just about being a part of their household? And so as I've been learning more about my money story and learning about what I've acquired from my family and from my tribe, I have observed, like, to be transparent with you, I'm first gen American in the United States. I'm charting new territory. We've never lived life here on this land except for when in this generation. And I feel so privileged and grateful, but at the same time, I'm charting new territory that no one in my family has ever done. So for me, I had to say, like, how am I going to go and learn how this new land is and how they run things around here? And a lot of people, especially if you're first gen or if you come from immigrant family, like, this is the land of opportunity. This is the land of milk and honey. And so it's hard living here and not necessarily understanding what that meant, right? Because I've always just seen it that way, as opposed to my parents and my family back home in the Philippines. It's like, you're there, so you must be living in a complete abundance. And I agree with that, but at the same time, because I grew up in it, I don't know any different. And so just to give you a little bit of background story when it comes to my parents, my mom is an entrepreneur and my dad's a 9-to-5er. And so those were two very, different personalities. And so I saw two different money stories. The money story I saw from my dad was like, work your 9-to-5, save up, get your pension, and retire, and that's that. And then when it comes to my mom, she's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm here and I have to make the best of this. I have to, send money back home. I have to make sure that things are different this time around. And so my mom's an entrepreneur and started her business in adult home care. So I got the chance to really grow up with a lot of old people in the house because that was my mom's business. and just kind of saw how, she was making a living for herself. But at the same time, she, wasn't there to have these conversations with me because she was too busy making it happen. And so for me, I had two different money stories. Someone who was a saver, someone who knew how to just hoard it and put it away just in case for emergencies and rainy days. And then I had another parent who was so great at creating it and creating it and creating it. And so for me, I feel like being a part of this next generation in the family, I think for me, my job, if I can move the needle forward in any way about money and resources, is learning how to keep it. Not only learning how to keep it, but learning how to protect it and learning how to make it grow and learning how to invest it, and that is a part of the game that's played here in the United States. This game, I mean, I can't say I wasn't in the Philippines, but I think it's just ran a little bit differently in other parts of the world. For some countries they have caste systems. For other countries, like, it's always going to be the rich and it's always going to be the poor. Other countries, I know that there's tribes out there that don't even know what we're talking about, right? and just haven't been colonized. Let's just be real. And so, anyways, I just have a deep sense of responsibility to be here in the United States, to be given all that I've been given, and to do something with that. So, again, this is me going out, seeing how other people are playing the game, and bringing it back to the tribe. And so, I would love to share with you all that I learned this past weekend, and I'm going to do my best to conceptualize it in a very simple way. But the reality is I can't give you all of the in-depth information about how to do the things and whatnot, because I'm just learning, I'm just learning as all of you are learning. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share this with all of you, to just give you a different perspective. So if you're out there and you are a pioneer in your family, if you're first gen, second gen, third gen, fourth, if no one's talking to you about money, and you're trying to figure out how to make it work, I could tell you this much, is that the game that we're playing, for most of us, 95% of us, that's not an exact percentage, but for most of us, we've been given a certain set of rules to the game that is going to be serving the other players who are playing a completely different game. So why don't we just jump into it, and we'll go from there. So first and foremost, I want to share with you about how I even got here in the first place. So I was on Instagram, just as any person with a phone would be, and there was this event that was going around on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And so I'm someone who, I click on ads. I'm just going to say it. I click on ads. My Instagram knows it. My Facebook knows it. I click on ads. I think, one, because I'm a seeker, I'm a learner. I'm a student of life. I'm curious of what other people are putting out there, but also on the back end is I'm also getting into marketing and advertising and things of that sort, and so I get to see it from a different lens. And so I clicked on this ad, and it was put on by Aspire, and basically they were coming into San Diego. The tickets were super cheap, and the way that they pitched it was like, if you've just aspired to want to be more, do more, just live a better life, then click on this ad. And I was like, yeah, that's literally the whole part of my story of being here in the United States, is that my parents wanted better. And so I'm gonna go seek that out. And so what really got me is that Gary Vee was speaking there, and I've been following Gary Vee for over 5 years now. And yeah, he's just been my dude. I was like, okay, he's coming to San Diego, tickets are cheap. When's the next time I'm going to be in the same room with him? Just go. You just never see what can happen, right? And so I went, and Gary Vee did his thing, very congruent with what I already see on his content. But there was this one guy in particular who just talked about money and how that there's two different games to be playing. And so he said, hey, if you want to learn more about this, put this much money down so you can come to our masterclass and learn more about it. And so I was like, you know what? This is probably, I'm going to be transparent with y'all. Like, I'm in my last bit of money that I can have, but I was like, you know what? I need to learn how to play that game, and I am always worth every investment. And so I think that's the first part when it comes to money. I'm currently in a place right now where yeah, I'm in a place right now where I need to learn the rule of the game to the other game. Not the game that I've been playing and haven't had a choice in. But I was like, I need to learn this other side of the game, and I don't care what it takes to get over there. I'm going to do it. So, yeah, just to be, honest, my current, when it comes to our money stories, I think this is something worth truly pausing the video and asking ourselves, what is your money story? Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and write that down. All right. So I hope that you all took a moment to write that down. I think it's super important. I'll share a little bit about my money story. My current money story, as it can change, is just, I would say my money story is a little detached right now. I'm not someone who's like, I haven't been someone in the past who isn't super deep in it and was like, I'm going to learn all the things. That's kind of the hard part about being a generalist, is that you're just like, I just need to know enough to get by. But, when it comes to money, I realize it's like, this is the one thing that if I'm going to be living life here on earth, that I need to learn this thing, because no one's going to teach me. I'm definitely not going to learn about it from the people who are playing in this game, and I'm not going to learn it from my parents, and I'm definitely not going to learn it as much as I'd like to on the internet. I need to learn it from the people who are actually doing it. So I'd say my money story has been pretty hands-off. I think I hands-off, but I've also always entrusted other people to do it. So I used to, I'm in a sorority, and so I have sisters who are part of financial businesses and platforms and things of that sort, where I trusted them to guide me in the process of handling money. And so that went well for a long time until it didn't on my own personal behalf, and because of the money decisions I've made. And so, yeah, that's kind of been my money story in the past. Is just like, I'm not an expert at it. I'm just going to hand it off to somebody else. And to be honest, you could go much deeper in this thinking about your money story, thinking like, maybe like, I don't deserve it. I don't believe in it. Money is evil. That's where a lot of people might think where it's at, but other people be like, money is a tool, money is energy, money is freedom, money is all these things, right? And so, that's actually what this guy's whole platform is about. It's called Money Is. And so people just have different money stories about what money is. And so the reality is the people who are playing in this game have a lot of negative feelings about money, and the people who are playing in the other game have a lot of positive definitions of what money is for them. And I was like, something's not connecting here, right? So go deeper into that. I would say just Google, hey, don't even Google, go to ChatGPT and be like, what are 7 questions I can ask myself about how to understand my money story and to delve deep into where my money beliefs came from. That's huge. And then there's a second thing I wanted you all to do. I wanted you all to, what's your money story? Oh gosh. I mean, another great one would be to like, what is your current like financial situation? That's another thing. And then, gosh, it'll come to me later. But anyway, so I ended up going to this thing, and I was like, I need to learn it. So I want to just jump in here really quick and just start teaching you all what I learned. Again, I can't teach you about the details of these cheat codes that he's given us in terms of the other game, but I could just basically give you all a very, very, very broad stroke of what I've gotten in the past 48 hours. All right, so let's get started. I'm just going to go through the workbook because it's going to make it a lot easier for me and a lot easier for you, because I want to make sure I'm as clear and concise as possible. I do want to preface and disclose, or whatever the case, I am not a financial advisor. Everything I say here is based off of my interpretation of it, and I'm going to be explaining it to you through my lens and my experiences. And if you need to seek financial advice, I would say go learn it for yourself, or learn it from someone who is in a financial place that you want to be in. So I just want to disclose that real quick before we jump into this. But for the most part, I'm going to be going through the actual workbook and just read off what it is, what he told us to fill in the blanks. And so, yeah, we'll just go from there, and I'll give you those cheat codes towards the end. And then I'm just going to give you really just, I want this video, the intent is for you to just kind of think differently about money. Again, I'm also making this for myself so I can think differently about money. And so I can go back and look back on this video and be like, man, you remember where you were at in this moment. You remember the place you were living at, the money that was or was not in your account, the thing that you're doing for money. Like, I want to be able to come back to this and be like, man, we've grown so much. Isn't that amazing? Of course, right now in it, I'm just like, man, we need to grow a little bit more, a lot more in this. But I look forward to the story, so I'm excited to share a little bit of what I got the chance to learn this weekend, because I'll tell you this, I'm never afraid to invest in myself. Never afraid to invest in myself. I believe that I am worth every single penny that I've invested in myself thus far. And, for being in my early 30s, I've invested over $100,000 into this Gavesa right here. And so that's why I have that helmet over there, because I want to protect this and how much I have invested into this. But I'm going to be honest with you, someone who is a student of life and is a learner and all of those sorts, the next step for me, I'll say this for those of you who are other amazing high achievers and students of life, the next step for me and for us is to apply it. And so this is a very small step of me applying it, because this is, again, allowing me to conceptualize what I just learned by teaching it to all of you. So I hope that you just know that I'm here. I'm just learning. I learned something and I'm sharing it with you. So take what you will with it. Everything is on the table. You don't have to take all of it. You don't have to take any of it. You can take some of it. Just take what you feel like you need in this season right now. Okay. And to be honest, for a lot of us, it's probably the first thing I had you do is write down your money story. What is your current money situation? What are your current beliefs about money? Oh, and there it is. Ask yourself, where did you get those beliefs from, right? Like, who did you learn those from? What has our families taught us about money? So that's going to be your homework at the end of all this. I would say, like, if that's enough for you, I would stop the video right here and just be like, I'm just going to go do that. And then recontinue this video if you want to learn other stuff. But I would say that is foundational about learning about money and our current beliefs about it, because what our beliefs are is what will direct our lives. So if we feel like money is evil, we'll always repel it off of us. If we feel like, money is always in abundance, then we'll start attracting it towards us. And so that's a whole different thing. But let's jump into this, all right? Okay, and again, I'm telling you, it's already, what time is it, y'all? That time's not right. Oh, I disconnected my clock. That's not going to be fun. I'm pretty sure it's 10:05 p.m. and I just got back from that around 6 p.m. rested, things of that sort. And I will tell you this is my first video for all of you, and we have Jimmy rigged the heck out of this. If I have not YouTubed so hard, it's this right here. But I want to jump into this. Let's do this. All right. So, all right, we're going to go to page 5. I have a little script, so don't think that I'm just kind of rogue in it, but I do have a little script, okay? All right. Generational wealth. All of us want to have generational wealth, right? We all want to pass it down to people in our family, and I know a lot of us want to have financial freedom, And so right here on page 5, it says, the number one reason that stops people is lack of money. There's a question mark there. Sorry, it's a fill in the blank. And I do want to tell you this. The guy that I learned this from is a straight white male in America. I'll just tell you that, okay? But he comes from a family of educators. So for me, I was like, that's a pass go for me. I'm like, that's fine. You know what I mean? I think that's probably a big part of it, right? A part of the conversation, right? They have set up the game for certain groups of people, but we are currently living in a time where we have more access and opportunity now more than ever. And it's really about learning it, having access to it, spending money to get access to it, investing in ourselves in that way. And so for me, I'm like, if I want to learn about money from anybody, I'm going to learn it from the people who created the game. So I'm not saying he created the game because his family was playing the old game, but I'm saying like, he has access. And so I was like, that's where I'm going to learn it from, So I just want to preface that. And I want you to know I went out because again, it's me going out into other people's tribes and like, hey, what y'all learn over here? Because my peeps, we ain't doing so well. We need some of that info, And I'm not gonna hold myself back from getting specialized information from other tribes just because of the way I look. Like, no, excuse me, like this is just a vessel, and we're all just here for a short amount of time. So what y'all got? Because I can share with you some stuff and things that they'll never know how to like navigate, and I don't know, simply like say like market to the people that in groups I don't know, whatever. Anyways, we have things to offer, so it's worth the trade, right? All right, so what is the number one reason that stops people when it comes to a lack of money? And so again, I want to say he's a teacher, and so he does a lot of fill in the blanks and things of that sort. So what is the number one reason that stops people is a lack of money. And then they say it's a lack of understanding of money. So we have to learn how to make more money, and that the game is not business or real estate or stocks. The game is money. So what is business, real estate, or stocks? Those are vehicles for money. So he used the example of Mike Tyson. Boxing was his vehicle to get money. But unfortunately, because he didn't know what to do with the money when he got it, because of his financial education, we all know what that happened. He didn't do so well and lost all of it. So, and that's unfortunate, because if your vehicle for money has to do with your body, and we naturally age in this body, then like, shoot, So that's the same thing with athletes that you hear about, Like, yeah, your body, that vehicle made you all your millions, but you lost it once you got it, because we didn't have the financial education on what to do with it. So let's move on to the next page. All right, which is number 16. All right. So understanding the game. Money is a game. In this game, there are two teams. I know that I've been kind of elusive. You're like, what's that team? And there's that team. So this guy, this is his language. There's two teams. There's the contributors, and then there are the creators. And 76 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. The number one emotion people have about money is fear. People are afraid of losing what they currently have. So whose game do you think that is? Contributors or creators? Contributors. And so that's the game that they have taught us. And we have to think about that in a sense of like, we all come over here, we know the whole story, right? The educational system and government and things of that sort has been built for contributors. How do I explain this? The educational system programmed us to have a contributor's mindset when it comes to money, right? And who created that was the creators. The creators created the educational systems and the government, and right, you just kind of have to think about that. Like when you're playing Monopoly or life, right? Like you're a creator, you're building things of that sort, but you're just like, as a creator, you're like, okay, how can I get people to work for me so I don't have to work, but I can still get the profit and, all those things, right? So they're like, those folks who came over, like, I don't blame them. Like, if I was in that situation and I was like, yo, like, I don't want to work, but I want someone to pay for me, like, why don't we create an educational system that trains all of them to be contributors? Like, I don't blame anybody for doing that, Like, it sucks. It sucks that that's the case everywhere. But I'm also like, if you're watching this right now, we're doing a lot better than, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing a lot better than we could be doing. I would much rather be alive today than any other day. Okay, so contributors, creators. Remember that. All right, page 17. A lot of this is just me going through it because I was like, I don't want to give you all the wrong information, because I would hate for that to happen, right? All right, so all right, so understanding the game. Money. Okay, so let's think about this when it comes to contributors. Again, I'm teaching you all this because I'm like, oh my gosh, my brain. Let's be more helpful, right? And I'm gonna look at all of you so it makes it a lot easier, okay? So in the contributors game, money, we tend to make money emotional, and money isn't an emotional thing. A lot of things that they tell us, a lot of myths that they tell us is like buy low, sell high, or that it's a long game, or I lied. See, I did this incorrectly. Let me say this again instead. So money is an emotional thing. And so a lot of times people will tell us, financial advisors or whatever the case, buy low, sell high, or that it's a long game, or that money is not emotional. And then they say money is the most emotional thing, is one of the most emotional things. And so that's, again, the contributors game. They're trying to tell us these false myths to train us and to be programmed to not really have the attention on money the way that the creators have attention on their money, right? So understanding the game, money is movement. Money equals movement, which money equals currency. Currency equals current. Current means it must be moving. So again, when we think about being a contributor, being the daughter of contributors, and particularly on my dad's side, he's like, save your money, right? How many of you, your parents always told you like, hey, save your money, put it underneath your mattress, put it in envelopes, whatever the case. Yeah, I mean, I learned the same thing, but the reality is like, if money's not moving, then it's not growing, right? It's just staying there. And if anything, as we all know, we're experiencing inflation now. It's like, if it's really underneath your mattress, it's not doing anything. It's, if anything, you're losing money at this point, right? And so, again, it's on the same page, so I'm just going to keep going. But basically, gosh, the creators created things for contributors to keep working for them and to think like they're in a good situation. And so we have to think back to the 40s and 50s and 60s. They created creators, right? Like, I want you to know, like, we are all creators. All of us are creators inherently. It's just we were born during a time where, there were some creators that were a lot more creative with their creativity. And so they created this thing in the 40s, 50s, and 60s called pensions. So if your grandparents are still alive, this is probably a conversation that you've heard them say, like, oh, I'm going to work for my pension, whatever the case. And so when they created a pension, and when they've created these things in general, it's something to get their employees to stay around longer so that they can continue to produce, so that the creators can continue to get the profit in that way. And so it's kind of set up in a way where, like, we think that we're getting a deal, but we're really not. And so in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was called pensions. After that, it was called 401ks. And for us millennials and younger people, they're called benefits. And so I don't want to get into like this whole thing about like all the numbers and all those things, because I'm not an expert. But long story short, these are financial carrots that are put in front of contributors to be like, hey, if you keep working with us and you keep producing and you keep doing this thing, like, I'm going to give you a pension, AK, or I'm going to give you a 401k for, I think 401k is for 70s, 80s, and 90s. And for those of us who are in this generation, like, you're going to get all these benefits, And so what I'm trying to say is that it seems like it's for us. Like, it seems like it's a good deal and it's worth the trade, but it's really not, because the creators just kind of rigged it for themselves. And so I want you to just think about that and think about like why people stay at jobs, right? Like, it's because of their pensions, it's because of their 401ks, it's because of their benefits, So I'm just going to share some notes with you really quick. So your job is not to stop the money from moving. Money has to keep moving. The savings part doesn't help anybody. Well, it does. It helps. It helps. I'm sure it helps creators. It helps the banks, whatever. It's not helping you. If you're not moving your money, it's not helping you. We're putting money in a bucket with a hole, and you think to fill the hole is to keep putting money in the bucket, hoping that it will fill itself up. But that's not the case. Yeah, there's holes in our bucket. And so we think that if we keep putting money in the bucket, it's going to fill, like the paper is going to fill the holes, but it's not. It's going to just keep being drained out. So that's why instead of putting money in the bucket, you got to move it because there's holes in the bucket. That's how the contributors bucket has been designed. Like these holes cannot be filled with more money. You have to play how the creators are playing the game, and they're just moving it. They're not even giving it a chance to sit there to be seeped through the hole. I think like someone said like cash is trash. I think it's they said that Grant Cardone said that. I watched an interview. He's like, cash is trash. You know, it's like you got to keep it moving. And if it just sits in your account, it's not doing anything. All right. So what we do is we end up hyper focusing on the vehicle and not money. Yeah. So we're focusing like on the passion or like the salon or the business or whatever the case. And it's like, no, like you're just using that as the vehicle to make more money, but you have to learn about money and learn the money game. So a big thing that was also in here was talking about money managers, financial advisors, things of that sort. And long story short, y'all, it's also a part of it's also a part of the creators and what they've created. But long story short, those folks are also contributors who are also playing the same game that contributors are playing. And so again, going back to those myths like buy low, sell high, it's a long game, money's not emotional. Those are myths that we hear from people who have taken a test, to say that they know something about money. But the reality is it's like, even to that extent, I'm sure it's just to know how to play the highest money game in the contributors game. Like creators, I'll just say this, creators don't have financial advisors. They don't have money managers, because you always have to cut them a check one way or another. And you know, a financial advisor is going to say like, hey, give me all your money, keep it with me in my accounts, and so that I could go move it around for you. But they're getting a commission off of it. And anyways, it's just all freaking like rigged, you know? So anyways, the biggest thing that they just said is that we have to be the ones moving our money. We cannot, and this is, I'll say this to be transferred for me, this is my Achilles heel. It's like, I was like, I'm going to just give it to someone else, for someone else to handle that. Okay. And so that seems, you know, not like the worst idea to do, right? But you know, now that I have this information, I'm just like, dude, like I need to learn how to move my own money, period. You know, no one else is in charge of it besides me. So I basically says, don't give your money to money managers. That's like inviting wolves into the chicken pen. I'm just writing down notes. Okay. So I put right here, no one should care more about your money than you. You move it, you're in charge of it. Like I put that in bold letters. And so that's what I'm trying to say is like, I know it's scary, y'all. Sometimes it's not. Actually, let's reframe that story. I know it's different. I know it's new. I know it's uncomfortable. I know that it's something that we haven't learned just yet, but we get to learn it. And so the biggest thing that he said is like, don't chase money. It's a mirage. Instead, chase financial IQ. And so this is a big kicker. This is like a 1-2 knockout Mike Tyson, y'all. It says your money is directly correlated to your financial IQ. And so he pulled a little joke. It's like his joke that he pulls when he's on the road. He says, pull out your app. I have this app that's going to tell you what your financial IQ is. It's like right here. I'm going to show it to you. And he says like, open up your bank account. That's your financial IQ. So Think about that. I mean, first off, I'll just say this. Do you even look at your bank account every single day? Or are we so afraid of it that we only look at it every once in a while just in case I want to buy something? For me, I am in the process of making it a habit for me to look at my bank account every single day. Not because it's like my favorite thing to do, but one day it will become my favorite thing to do. But I think it's the same thing with losing weight. It's like stepping on the scale every single day. We just have to get comfortable with it. Really, it's uncomfortable at first, but we have to get comfortable with it. We have to know the pulse of where it's at. Like, I do step on the scale every day, and probably every other day I do look at my bank account just to know where I'm at, because how can I make a change if I don't have any self-awareness? So that's the practice that I've been putting in. It's just like, okay, just look at your bank account at least every other day and just know where you're at, So for me, it gives me motivation to move, to do something, and so financial IQ. He says for us to chase the financial IQ instead of the money. He says the more your financial IQ goes up, the more your money goes up. So that's like my big thing right there, y'all, is like, we just got to learn about this stuff, period. And let's be real, back in the day, it was gate kept. It's still gate kept, y'all. It's still gate kept. But back in the day, it was really, really gate kept. You have to think about like the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, right? Like, ain't nobody know what they were doing and how they did that. But nowadays, it's like we have the internet, we have things. And I'm not saying like, we have to know that what's on the internet though is being written by contributors also. So like, that's why we really have to seek it out on our own. And I can't say it's on the internet, y'all. How do we seek it out? For me, like I said, I'm going to learn it from people who are in places that I want to be in. So just kind of think about it that way. If we're learning how to get rich from broke people, like, it doesn't really add up. It's the same thing with our relationships. Like, how can we get advice on how to be in a healthy relationship from our single friends or our divorced friends? I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to get relationship advice from you. Or the same thing with health. Like, I'm going to get health advice from someone who's overweight. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So just kind of think about where you're getting your information, y'all. And so when it comes to things like this, like I said, like, you get something, you got to pay. You got to pay for information that you want and you want access to. I mean, you have to think about it even back in the day, like before money was even a thing. Like, you had to trade or have gold or something to trade to get closer to quote unquote sources, right? Sources that had that access to resources. And so just something to think about, so just be careful where you're getting your information from. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, so I'm just going to read through this again because I think it's just important. It's in the book. I'm going to just read it and you take what you will with it, okay? So, creators play by different rules. And so this was written by Jack Bogle, and he was the founder of Vanguard. So Vanguard is Google it. Vanguard is like Fidelity. Like these are people that take your money and they say that they're going to move it and do their thing. And they do move it, but they also take a big check from it too. So just something to think about. Okay, so creators play by different rules. Quote, do you really want to invest in a system where you put 100% of all the capital, you take 100% of the risk, and you get 30% of the return? And who gets 70% of the return is the people at Vanguard, is the people at Fidelity, is the people at Charles Schwab or whatever. Those are the examples he was using, right? I say that. I used to have my money in Fidelity because I used to work at Starbucks. That was the immediate, like, their connection and their collaboration is there. So I just trusted them, and I probably shouldn't have. We probably shouldn't have. That's the reality. If it's a little too easy, it's like that's something kind of worth questioning. So I'll read it again. Do you really want to invest in a system where you put 100% of all the capital, you take 100% of all the risk, and you only get 30% of the return? Doesn't make any sense, right? I'm just going to read my notes. We never talk about how much money we make, but we love talking about our benefits. like our 401k match or whatever the case. And so this goes back into what I was telling you about, like the financial carrot, which was the pension plan back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 401k, and now the new financial carrot is benefits. So a study by the Center of Retirement Research states workers at companies that contributed to their employees' benefit accounts or 401k accounts tended to have lower salaries than the companies that gave no retirement contribution. Worth reading again, right? I'm like, what did I just read? Workers at companies that contributed to their employees' benefits / 401ks. Okay, so us who are workers at companies and we contribute to our 401k or we contribute to our benefits accounts tended to have lower salaries than those at companies that gave no retirement contributions. Okay, so what I'm hearing is I'm at a company and I'm contributing to my 401k and my benefits. I'm taking home lower salaries than people who were not contributing to it, right? At another company with no, not that they don't have benefits, but they're not contributing. So something worth thinking about. In fact, for many employees, the salary dip was roughly equal to the size of their employees' potential contribution. So typically they only pay 12% to employees. Everyone just participates. So in fact, for many employees, the salary dip was roughly equal to the size of their employees' potential contribution. I'm just going to read that and you take what you will with it. Because I'm like, what are you talking about there, Willis? Okay. 25. All right. Y'all think, I just want you to know, you're like, oh, this is long. I was like, I'm condensing this. However long this video is going to be is less than the 48 hours it took for me to go and do this. And I want to be real with you. It took also the time for me to get on the bus and get there. So you're welcome. Okay, so if you're like, this isn't interesting at all, I was like, go ahead, you do. Please click to the next video, please, because I'm doing this for the people that want to listen, that want to be here, that want to play a different game. And if you don't want to play a different game, please go click to the next video because that's what you want to do. Go do that. Okay, so 3 rules of money. Rule number 1, create it. Rule number 2 is to keep it. And rule number 3 is to protect it. And so we're going to move on to the next page. Those are the rules. Those are the rules of the contributor or of the creator's game. Create it, keep it, protect it. And I don't know about you. I think a lot of us are really good at creating it. Some of us still not so much. And I don't think we're really great at keeping it. I think that's what he said. He said that's where people mess up the most, is like, you're good at creating it, but you're really not good at keeping it. And so if there's only 3 rules and we're already, can't get to the second one successfully, I mean, I don't even know how we're going to get to the protecting it part, but something to think about. All right. So understanding the game. So when it comes to any game, right? Like, we have to think about this. When it comes to any game, who creates the game? The developer, right? So kind of think about that. If you play any video games, if you play Mortal Kombat, if you play Pokemon, I don't care what it is. Like, who created the game? The developer, okay? So I'm not sure if you remember when we used to play video games, but there used to be cheat codes to each game. And so it would be like left, left, right, right, up, down, down, A, B, B. Gosh, I actually kind of remember that cheat code. But the only way you were able to get those cheat codes was either through gaming magazines or from fellow gamers, from other people who played the game, right? Like, now that I think about it, I'm like, if my mom, this is a very example, if my mom never played Pokemon, how's she gonna know the cheat code? If I want to learn how to play that game, I gotta find the other people that are playing Pokemon. Like, my mom doesn't know. Come on now. Okay, I think we're about to get into some cheat codes. Page 31. Okay, money cheat code, standard federal tax reporter. Okay, so in this, I remember he was saying, like, okay, there's a standard federal tax reporter. How many pages are there? So there's 74,608. How many volumes? 26. How many revisions over the past 10 years, 4,680. There's 2 new revisions each day. How much would you pay for tax advice? 158 million. Okay, so I wrote in the notes, be loyal to your family, but not your CPA, aka financial advisors. Okay, so what they were saying in this is basically there's a lot of freaking cheat codes, y'all. There's a lot of cheat codes. 74,608. How many volumes? 26. A lot of cheat codes. And ain't nobody gonna remember all those codes. And definitely not your family money manager, your, Sally down the street. And I mean, even all of the financial advisors and things of that sort, right? And so he's just basically saying, like, a lot of times we'll get handed down a financial advisor or somebody, and because they've been with the family for so long, we'll stay loyal to them. But the reality is, this is where people get tripped up. After they have finished some sort of certification or some sort of degree or some sort of test that says, okay, I've done it, we stop learning. I'm actually going to take myself out of that equation. A lot of people stop learning. Like, it doesn't stop after we get the degree. It doesn't stop after we get the test. It doesn't stop until we get the certification. Like, we're supposed to continue to grow. If we're not growing, we're dying. And so let's be real. Some people only got the high school piece of paper. And that's okay for them. Like, that's why for me, even after the college piece of paper, I'm like, I got to keep learning more. Like, that's kind of been my whole thing. I just love learning, and I'm just like, this game is ridiculous. I was like, I don't know how anybody's getting to the next level in the game, if they're not learning new cheat codes. So I'm gonna give you all here the 5 tax-free accounts. I'm just gonna name them off. I'm gonna give them to you in the order he suggested them, and then I'm also gonna give you the cheat code that's next to them. But that's all I'm gonna give you, because all the information he shared about those, I can't even fully conceptualize it. I will conceptualize the best way I know how, but you know him. He was just like drawing all these boxes, like, and it goes here, and it goes there, and it goes